Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a really Italian family. My mom's side is full on Italian. Yeah.
Wow. We just went live on Facebook.
Awesome. I just
Uh,
got tagged.
oh, you did? Oh, okay. Here we go. All right, let me fix it. Oh man. Yeah, I didn't know I didn't know what was going on, so I went ahead and got everything ready. But I was laying down because I did two shows today, and I got like totally downloaded on the first one, and then the second one it happened again. So I don't know what's going on today. But today is 8 years to the day of when my journey started. You know,
Wow.
yeah, because
Well, there's
last year.
definitely something going on because before the show, last night would have been about probably how many hours ago now? 10 hours ago? No, not even. Maybe 6 hours ago. I
Uh-huh.
was in bed and I asked for a sign about the show, like what we're going to be doing or what we should talk about or anything that comes through, like messages or
Uh-huh.
and I went to this place and it felt like a dream, but it felt really real as well. And and I met this person and he didn't look like he was from here. He had like long blonde hair and he was big, like he was much bigger. But I didn't see him in person. Like, he came through as a hologram
Uh-huh.
and I was in his house and
Wow.
he had like a two-bedroom unit and he called me and it was late and I'm like, hello, and it's like we knew each other but we didn't know each other, and he got really angry at me and I said, what, why are you upset? And he said, I've worked so hard to get my message out there, he said, and you everybody just likes you no matter what you say, no matter what you do. He said everybody just responds to you. They get, your message always gets out there and it's clear and it's strong. He goes, and I've been working so hard for mine and it didn't work or something like that. And I thought, and I was like, whoa. And he said, look, I've only packed one suitcase. I've left the other suitcase half packed. And then I looked behind me and there was a suitcase literally half packed, and I didn't realize that it was there. And I didn't want to look into it because I didn't want to like go into his privacy.
Yeah.
Then I realized where I was. And I thought, well, I don't really want to be here. So I just kind of zipped out of it and came back to here
Were
and woke
you
up.
were you in meditation or lucid dreaming?
Well, I was in a lucid dream because I did a meditation before I went to sleep, but I never slept. I felt
Oh,
I felt my baby kicking for the first time last night because
oh
I'm
my
four and a
God.
half. I know I'm 4.5 months pregnant, and he I'm having a boy. So we
Oh
just found out we're
wow.
having a boy, and I felt him kicking like crazy last night. Like he kept me awake till 5 in the morning. So every time I fell asleep, I was in this like, I don't
In
know, this,
between. Yeah.
yes, in the in between. It's
Like
a good way to
yeah, it's like in between. It's not really lucid dreaming. It's like in between. Like you're awake in the dream, like lucid dreaming, but it's different. I know what you mean.
yes. And it
I know.
feels so real. It feels like you're so there and everything's happening, and it was, yeah, so that's what came through. I have
So
no idea what that means.
so you went into it saying, "What are we going to talk about?" And
Yeah.
give me a sign, and then you get
Yeah.
this thing about this dude
Yes.
who, and then your son is kicking you for the first time.
Yes.
So no, yeah.
So I looked up, because he didn't look like he was from here. So I looked up the words that came to me was Nordic aliens. So I looked up what that was. I didn't read much about it because I was so tired. I just saw the pictures and it looks exactly like the guy, like the
Wow.
long hair, the face, everything. And it just reminded me of when I lived in Sweden because they had that Swedish look, that blonde hair and the really striking features. And,
Yeah.
you know, we were just living in two different worlds, basically,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's a big deal up there in that Scandinavian area, you know.
Yeah.
There's a really strong influence. Nordic, what's the other word I'm looking for? But even like I've talked to a lot of people over there and just picked up the energy. And this is going back
Right.
about 5 or 6 years, people that I met over there, and they have this certain energy. I don't know how to explain it. It's a very high intelligence, like many of the cultures have, but then it's distinct, very distinct.
Right.
But to me, it, like of all the different ancestries, I guess, all the different peoples of the world, that's one of the ones that really comes through to me as galactic. Like all my friends over there, for the most part, seem very
Interesting.
galactic. Yeah,
Right. Well,
yeah,
I lived in Sweden for about a year and I worked on music over there a long time ago, probably in, I think it was 2011, 2000 and around then. And I haven't really had anything come through until recently about it, you
yeah,
know. And I think I know what it's related to as well, because it kind of came through before we started, is to do with like the fake, not the fakeness, but the face of people, not all people, but the face that happens like when we watch television or like when we're in a world that's kind of like it's what I was calling the matrix, really, because it was like I was speaking to a friend of mine who's quite famous in Australia, and I've known him since 2007. And we became friends, and then we didn't talk for ages. And we like partied pretty hard around that time because, like, when you get into the fame world, not everybody, but when I did, it was like I was this innocent little girl kind of thing. And then I got into this world of just everything got given to me on a platter, like,
yeah,
everything. I
yeah,
had it all. I had everything I could have ever asked for, really. And that could have been looked at like abundance, or
yeah,
it could have been looked at like um, something that wasn't real. Like,
yeah,
so when I went through it, I was questioning myself and the show and everything. Like, is this real? Did I really win this show? Did people vote for me, or was it rigged? And I questioned my own talent, my own skills. And then on top of that, I got given every single drug that you could think of, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
So it's like, all right, well, I'm just going to live on top of this mountain, live on top of the world, take as many drugs as I want because I'm young and I'm invincible
yeah,
and nothing and nothing's going to happen to me. But the more that I went on that road, the more I became paranoid. I started doubting my own abilities, doubting other people's agendas,
yeah,
because everybody really has an agenda,
yeah,
um, unless you are so enlightened that you just don't anymore. Like even we have agendas, but we don't have necessarily ones that are going to hurt other people.
yeah,
But we always think to ourselves, well, what are we going to do today, and what do we want out of this, what do we want out of life, what do we want out of today, you know what I
yeah,
mean? We always
yeah,
want something. We don't just like wake up in the morning and go, oh, it's a great day today, let's just ride the wave.
yeah, right. Yeah, that's kind of what's happening though. It's like
Yeah,
it's like yeah, I like what you said about the agenda thing. And I guess there's degrees of agenda.
yeah,
From one extreme, like the less favorable connotation to agenda, like just getting up and my agenda is just be happy.
be
you know?
happy. Well, that's a
Yeah.
good agenda. I don't know if that's
Yes.
an agenda.
I
I
don't
wouldn't
know.
call that an agenda. I would call that like
Or maybe
something
my
that
yeah, maybe my agenda is to stay is to focus on staying in this certain place. So because it kind of like increases the propensity for happiness and magical things. And
right,
but
right,
it's yeah, but
right.
it's like trippy though. It's like
Yeah,
it's
like
a
I'll give
new
you I'll give you
yeah,
an example of like, if you watch a morning show or you watch an interview on TV and you have only a limit of 5 minutes and you've got like I've got a single coming out and I've got all these things I want to talk about. And then the 5 minutes is over and I've said all these weird things that didn't make any sense. And I'm just an interview.
yeah,
Okay, I'll speak to you later. Okay. And then the
Yeah.
whole family's here now. And so now I've lost track of what I was saying. Oh yeah. So you don't know, it's like you've said all of these things. You don't know if they're connecting because it's like there's all these agendas around you like going on.
Yeah.
And then you come out of it and you're like, did that go well? Did I connect with people? Did people seem like understand what I was talking about? And then all of a sudden they're on to the next thing. That's it. They're gone. And you
Yeah.
just left. I'm just left here going, oh, well, I'll just drive home and go back to normal,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
And
know?
that's the thing. Yeah. You
And
just,
and and this is what people, a lot of people, the on the outside world that we aren't in anymore are
yeah.
doing. Like they watch that on TV a lot, like all day. They live their life like that. They go in the car, they put on the news, and they listen to that radio station, and then everybody at work talks about that one thing. And I mean, it's no different from Facebook. Like one thing that's trending, everyone's talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and
That's
it's
true.
not good or bad, but it's just something that's coming through really strong for me at the moment. Like, wow, this is the reality for so many people still,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
um, that we have so much work to do, you know, as a collective of healers, and that we can stay in this bubble and be happy and be glowing and be loving, but then there's on the other side, there's so many people still vibrating on a frequency that is controlling, that is controlled,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
It's you know, so coming back to Melbourne, I've just been faced with that. But you know, because I've done so much work, I don't feel scared. I don't
I
feel
know.
I don't feel scared. I feel like it's such a beautiful experience, and I feel blessed, absolutely blessed to be able to work with people here on those levels, because we were all once there,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and that's where we came from. And if we didn't come from there, we wouldn't know what we know now. We wouldn't be able to
Right.
do what we're doing, you know.
That's right. And being open to our own blind spots that we don't know about.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, we all
There's,
have them.
right? It's like when
Yeah.
they come in. But no, well, that's one of the things that I found really striking and amazing when I talked to you the last time, and you said, "Oh, I've had all this stuff go down. Like, just come in, you know, and just present itself." And then you said da 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 da, and then you said something like, "The universe is giving me a really great opportunity right now," or something. You just whatever you said, I was just like, "Wow!" Like you just took it in, and then you just said, I can see the value. I may not see the value yet, but there's value there and I appreciate it." That's the way you went into it. And I'm like, wow, that's freaking powerful. And the next thing I know, I see you popping up in Melbourne doing all those demos or those, yeah,
Oh, the music single
yeah,
release.
yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, look, the other thing I will say is like I've had so much support from so many people. Um, I I did end my relationship with Ryan, and it was a really tough call
yeah,
because it was very early on in the relationship. And, you know, I had to look at myself, and I had to look at like, how did I get myself into this? How did this happen? And I realized that I had this, and I say had because I feel like I've woken up. Like my third eye has just really opened.
yeah,
And that was one of the things that the universe brought to me, because I remember our last conversation. I was pregnant and I was three months pregnant, and I wasn't sure about my spiritual work. I wasn't sure where I was going to go with it and what my next mission was, because I got to this kind of crossroad, or like a stop. I felt like it was a stop.
yeah,
And what I realized is that the stop was because I had to stop and look at my environment and see what was working and what wasn't working. And that's why I couldn't connect to my spiritual. guides the way that I was wishing for. And I've written a book, and it's called How to Heal a Broken Relationship, which hasn't been published. I wrote it when I first came to New York in September. I wrote this book.
Wow.
And it was when Ryan and I were just friends and we were
Yeah.
just starting to connect. And it came to me I wrote the book in 20 hours.
Wow.
It was like my hand was sore because I couldn't stop. Like I had to just get the information out, whatever was coming through. It was like how I write music. Like the music just comes through and it just happens. But usually with a song, it's only 3 minutes or 4 minutes, so it's over.
Yeah.
But this was like the longest song.
Wow.
It just was like words, 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 words. And there were 7 steps into how to get out of a broken relationship, like how to release
Wow.
toxins and how to, all this information. And I remember telling you a little bit about the steps because I just finished writing the actual courses.
Yeah.
And one of them in the book is called stop. Like that's one of the steps. Like you need to stop and then just take a look at what's happening. And if you don't stop, the universe will stop you. Like
Yeah.
that's
Isn't that
like
the truth?
like
Isn't that
yeah.
the truth?
And I am such a determined soul that I will never stop
Yeah.
naturally.
Yeah.
So if something's going to stop me, it has to be the universe. Like that's just for me, that's how it is, right?
That's
So
that's that's incredible though, because I've always felt like what people receive, because we're all receiving, and then like some people they then carry it out and post or videos or books or whatever. I've always felt that what we receive, even if it has a collective kind of message, it's meant for us first, the person who got it first. So I find
yeah,
that fascinating that you downloaded this basically. You downloaded this thing.
I
Like it's
downloaded
almost
it.
like in preparation, you
Yes,
know?
yes, before I experienced it.
Yeah.
And so I wrote the book and then I went back to the book 4 times to edit it. The first time was um, after I read the book to Ryan. He was the first person I called. And it was like I wrote it for him, parts of it. It's like it
Um,
came to me to tell him because I didn't really know him that well at the time, but I knew that he was always, and this is not a criticism or negative thing
yeah.
about anybody,
Yeah.
but I just noticed that he was always really busy. And every time we made plans to do something, he was like, "Oh, look, I'm just really busy. I'll just fit you in this time or that time or this time." And I'm like, "Oh my God, this reminds me of me like when I used to have a list of like things to do, and if I didn't do them all,
You're a
I
bad
had this
person.
rigid, yeah." So I was trying to explain to him, "Oh, I've just written this book. I think this is going to help you. Like, can I read it to you?" So I'm on the phone to him and I'm just like reading this thing, and he's just like, "Whoa!" He's like, "This is actually really profound information."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, it didn't come from me. I'm just the kind of the conduit for it." So anyway, he said something really profound to me. So I'm like, I'm going to go back. I'm going to edit the book. I'm going to write our experience in the book. And I'm going to start writing about our story in the book. And because I was doing my sexual healing podcast at the time as well, I just wanted this information to come out as quickly as possible. And I wanted to share my experience with the world because it related so much to what information I was getting. Right. So then I just kept on re editing, rewriting, re editing. Then I wrote it again. And then I ended up, because then Ryan and I got married and we were having a baby, I just um, thought that we were having this perfect relationship. And I'm just writing about this perfect relationship.
Yeah.
And then everything just fell apart. And I'm like, well, this is not such a perfect relationship. Like, is there such a thing as a perfect relationship? And then I had to stop. I just had to stop. And then I went back when I got to Melbourne when I was ready, and I reread the very, 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 very first thing that I wrote that came to me in the 20 hours. And I took out all the edits, like all the stuff that was in my head that I wanted to add in, like the ego part of me wanted to
Right.
write.
Right.
And I took all of that out, and I'm just like, that is the message.
Yeah.
I can't write whatever that was. I could
Yeah.
never even try
Yeah.
to do something bigger than me. Like it's just impossible,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I realized like I'm just not going to mess with it. I'm just going to release it like the way that it got given to me
Yeah.
and be grateful for it. And then I'm like, okay, I need to do these steps myself now. I really do. So now I'm
Wow.
doing these 7 steps here in Melbourne. Yeah.
So it's like a higher self download, and now the human self's gonna. Well, and that's how these things work. I noticed. I never realized it till I met Morgan. And we got into the relationship a little bit because I started doing videos a week before. I just did my first video 8 years, no, 4 years ago today, which was weird. I saw it this morning. And
Congratulations, by the way.
isn't that weird?
8 is a good number.
Yeah. So, so then I met her, and so basically, I didn't know I had all these really shadows, which were really kind of like masculine journey shadows for the most part. Not that it matters. I couldn't see them, and so she would like have these discussions with me, and she'd be like, you know, you were really shadowed back then. I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, if I was, then I was doing these videos, and something was coming out, something was happening. Like, but I realized later it was like my heart. But the thing is one of the things that she pointed out. I said, well, wait a minute, I was getting this information, and it was legit, you know. And and then she said, yeah, but you weren't embodying it. It took me 2 years of asking her. I'd ask her like every 2 months, what does that mean, embodiment?
Embodiment, yeah.
And she'd tell me, and I still didn't get it, even though it's actually a very simple. Well, I don't know if it is. Maybe I'm just simple. I don't know. But
I don't
anyway,
think it's simple. I think it becomes simple once you get it.
maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, because it's like I started to realize though, because I would actually see them. They pop up in my memories 3 years ago, and I'd look at this crazy guy with wild hair and no shirt on and turning music on and just doing his preaching. But I was mainlining to infinite intelligence from my heart, but it was kind of like, sullied, it was a little bit shadowed. There's a little ego, or whatever you want to call it, or wounded ego. But like you said, like if I went to just the untouched channel that came out that I'm just a conduit for, it was very pure, but I wasn't doing it. I
Right.
wasn't doing it. And then I could look back and see, oh, I was saying this then, and then I started doing it here. So I don't know. That really struck me, though. That really, really made a big impression on me.
So how
And
did you learn to embody it?
well, I had a good coach. Uh,
Okay.
that's one thing.
Yeah.
But I still couldn't. So many times she said to me, I'd be like, "Hey, I got this, man." Da 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 da, and she'd go, I told you that like for the last 2 years. But she wasn't
Yeah.
saying it in that way. She was just reminding me, and I did remember. But the thing was, I had to experience it.
Yeah.
So it's weird, and I've told her many times since then. You can tell somebody something, and they can nod their head, and they can kind of get it. And I think that's what we do with the universe. Like, oh, I get that, so I'm really smart. But we don't do it. And so I think the way that I really started to do it was after we got married. She had to go back because the visa was up, and we went through, oh my God, 6 months separation.
Wow.
I was in, I was about 6 months separation. I'm traveling around. I don't have any money. I'm doing 3, 4 shows a day. I'm listening to Infinite Intelligence. I end up in Sedona, and Sedona's a lot like, it's a very powerful place, like Ayers Rock or something like that.
Where is
And
Sedona?
Sedona, Arizona.
Arizona. Okay, I've never been there. I've
Yeah,
heard it's incredible.
it's
Yeah.
incredible. It's like a supernatural portal,
Yeah.
galactic highways. It's like, so I had all these things happen to me there. I was being initiated, and then we were, like trying to reunite, and how are you going to reunite? You don't even have a house. You don't have a car. You don't have any
Mm,
money. So that was me
yeah.
talking to me. And then I got really, really upset. And that's happened before. And I usually go outside and I'll scream and shout at the universe, and we have a meeting. But this time was really weird. So I was in this hotel room. You ever heard of the movie Psycho? You know?
Yes, I have.
Okay,
Yes.
so the Bates Hotel. I'm in this small little town called Cottonwood, which is about 10 miles out of Sedona, because I couldn't afford anything else. I'm in this little bitty room, 109, on the corner, and it looks like the Bates Hotel, man. It's like creepy. So I'm in this room, and all this weird stuff was happening, and I just broke. I like broke, and
Wow.
I just started crying, and I think she called or something, and I said I'm really angry, and she's like, "Do you want to fix it, or do you want to, bathe in the story of it?" And I said,
Right.
for the first time ever, I said, you know what? I don't want to fix it. I'm going to feel it. And I
Wow.
got off the phone, and I just, from that point on, any deep emotion I would get, sadness, uh, anger, I would sit with it. I would just let it. I was okay. You want to be angry? Be angry, and then it would just like shatter. You
It
know,
would, yeah, it
it would
would
just
go through you. Yeah.
so if I had to put my finger on something, I would say that's how I started to learn how to embody things, and then I think from there, again, with a really good, because she's done the work for so long, and
Yeah.
we're so aligned that then you start to apply it in your everyday consciousness. Like
Yeah.
somebody comes into your field or infringes on your space, you don't freak out and go alpha male on them. You just hold your space, hold
Right.
your space. And I've been hearing that message a lot from the universe, which is hold, 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 and just,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh my God, I can't hold my breath any longer. Oh my God, I can't hold my temper any longer. And then it, then it goes
It
away.
comes, yeah. Well, it's
Yeah,
got to go somewhere. This is the thing. Like, we can't bury these emotions
yeah,
inside of us, or else this is how illnesses happen, you know?
yeah, yeah,
It's how we get sick, or, like since being back here, I've had to get rid of so much yucky stuff.
yeah.
I lost my voice for a whole week.
Wow.
It just disappeared. And I know why. Like, because I had to come back and explain to my family what was going on. And to be honest, I had no idea what I was going to say. Like,
Yeah,
I was so tired already. I was
yeah,
so tired. I'm like, oh, do I have the energy to do this? Like, I just want to crawl up into a shell and not talk to anyone for like a month. But I just couldn't do that. Like, life goes on, energy keeps moving forward. So you got to keep going with it. So adrenaline was like, it had me till about a week ago. And then I just collapsed. So it's kind of similar situation where I just got to this point where I was like, oh, I just, surrender. Like, this is it. Like, I just,
yeah.
and I've started doing this new healing technique, which is unbelievable. It's called forensic healing. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Tell me about it.
So it's like a science in a way. And I did, because, I do these gatherings with my drum and stuff. And when I came to Melbourne in January, I was doing a lot of work with other healers, which was amazing experience. So I met a lot of beautiful women, and this one woman, when I was back in New York, I I was like, oh, do I still need to be here? I was feeling Australia calling me. I was feeling Melbourne. I'm like, and I just in my mind, I just asked the question, God, can you just give me an answer, you know? And I laid down on the bed, and literally 1 minute into that meditation, she texted me out of the blue. I mean, it's not out of the blue, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
And and so she said, "How you going?" And I said, "Oh, look," I said, I don't know if I'm still meant to be in New York." She said, "Natalie, everyone loves you in Australia. You've got support in Australia." She said, "Do you want to see me? I'm doing this new healing technique. I've been studying it, I've been working on it." And she just seemed so passionate about it. And so she sent me some information, and I read up about how there is a textbook that's written. Now, this is my interpretation of it. It's not the real technical interpretation, but because I've done shaman studies and
Yeah,
neuro linguistic programming, and also my own spiritual work with studying Buddhism and Hare Krishna and Hinduism and all that. It's kind of like everything put together plus like a science. So there's this bar, which I never really get to see because we've always done online healings, but it's like this bar and it's got numbers on it. And she's very connected. You can see she's got source moving through her. Well, I can see it. I can see it, which is incredible. So as she's working through it and she's connecting to my energy, I automatically feel that she's in. You know, she's just got this gift. And anyway, she moves the stick, and then she gets a number 3, for example. And
Yeah.
then she opens the book and she looks up number 3. She says, environment. And I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah.
How does she do that?
Yeah.
And like for me, I don't know. I do things completely differently with my healing. And
Yeah.
this works for me. It's like the opposite of what I do, but it works, you know?
Yeah.
And so she's like, number 3. And then she reads it and she says, is this resonating with you? And I'm saying, yes, absolutely it is. And then what happens after that? She then gives me an affirmation, which starts with, I choose. I, Natalie, choose to. And then it's this beautiful positive affirmation that connects with your divine will and your source energy. And then she moves it and gets it out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can see it, like she's like burping it out, you know, she's just like really, she's this conduit and she's just releasing it. And then literally after about 2 minutes or 1 minute, it's just done. It's like, that's it, it's done. And then we
Wow.
move on to the next thing. And there's 4 parts to it. There's physical, spiritual, soul, and something else, which I can't remember. Mind. It's the mind. So it works on a psychological level, on a spiritual level. Um, ah, it's just incredible. I've never experienced anything like it, and it's just helped me so much
Wow.
in terms of like building up my confidence and courage and connecting me to a new spiritual path,
Yeah.
which I've just started doing, which has been incredible. Absolutely
Wow.
incredible.
You know,
Yeah,
there's so many different modalities coming out.
I know.
It like, you know, I mean, it's like people are coming out and with them these, it's like sacred wisdom or sacred wisdom remix, you know,
Yes.
coming, you know, like you got all that stuff that you studied. I mean, I know I read voraciously from like 20 to probably 40, and I don't even look at the books anymore. This almost like what you came across here reminds me of like going into a bookstore years ago. I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to find the perfect book, and then you find it, and then I know I'm going to open to the perfect page, and you find it. So these kind of interactions between two or more, I'm hearing more about that when I'm talking to people, and I wonder too, like if it's like the higher selves are able to connect better because we're listening to them, you know, or we're more aligned with them, we're more open to them. So then they have a clearer connection when two people come together, you know, with the right intention. Because I know, like when I talk to you,
Yeah.
the first time your higher self jumped out, remember, and it
Yeah.
freaked
Yeah.
me out.
Yeah. Right.
And the
Yeah.
second time, you were doing the drumming, and it's something similar happened. So there's, I don't know, it's just like that's starting to come into play. Yesterday
Well,
we did a little session yesterday with a friend of ours, and I was the proxy, you know, so I was talking to his higher self, and Morgan was facilitating, and I never had one, and I'm sure you have and others have, but I never had one like where I was literally like I mean, I was like in him. I I could feel his pain and anger and
right.
all this stuff,
Right. I
and
understand that.
yeah, it was really really intense. I don't know. Maybe that's a big part of what we're getting ourselves into.
Well, what came through in my book is that we are all learning to become vessels, just pure vessels
Yeah,
for communication, for healing, for everything. and we're co-creating. So we're not alone anymore.
Yeah.
And so part of this is about learning how to release the toxins in the body to become a pure vessel. And then it's just a matter of learning how to maintain that and working each day towards that. And then eventually we will become light beings. So that's what we're working towards, because the planet is not going to be here anymore. This is what came through. Like, the planet's not going to be here anymore. We are going to rise up so high that we move to the next wherever we go.
Yeah.
Which, whenever, how long, I don't know the time frame, but
yeah.
that was the message that came through, and that's what we're working towards now.
Yeah.
Because the earth is shifting. So what I've been brought to my attention is this woman called Dolores. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but she's not a psychic or a medium, but she works with hypnosis.
Are you talking about Dolores Cannon?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like she's like the fairy godmother of QHHT. Yeah.
Right.
many people. Yeah, she's passed now. Her daughter still does it.
Really? I didn't know she passed away.
Yeah. Many people, Morgan, many people, read her stuff and listened to her videos. I'm talking going back, 10, 20 years.
Yeah. Well, something's coming through to me very strongly from her.
I don't doubt that. Somebody else that was on here, and it's been a while, it's been a couple of months, and I felt like it was very credible, that was connecting with her. Very strong, kind of like a forerunner's forerunner. I mean, one of the early, yeah. So what are you getting from her?
So the predictions of Nostradamus were not clear, and she wrote these books, these series of books, where she decoded his messages, because he wrote in code, because I don't remember why, but he did. And so he was coming through one of her patients through hypnosis. And then she realized that she could connect with him through anything, through anyone.
Yeah.
And he would come through, and he was in a parallel universe. So he was still back in 2000, not 2000, I think it was 1815 or something like that, 1518, I can't remember the year. But he was still back then while he's communicating with her in this parallel universe.
Wow.
And so the other thing that kept on coming through to me lately is also the fact that our timelines are very different for everyone at the moment.
Yeah.
And so we if we're going to be pure vessels, we can't let timelines be skewed or affected by how we feel.
Yeah.
Because that's going to confuse us as a human race, as a consciousness. So it's really important to always be in the light, obviously, but using the techniques that we already know, and also allowing other entities to come through that can help co-create for the highest good,
Yeah.
And that can come through exactly how Dolores experienced her experience in that parallel universe.
Yeah.
And I believe what's going to happen is that we're going to learn how to do this. We're going to learn how to communicate on a telepathic level, where we can go through different dimensions, different timelines, future, past, in our dreams. Even when we're awake.
Yeah. Many ways.
We're going to be able to do that. So when we do have those experiences, they are real in a sense. They're just different to being like physically alive, you know?
Yeah. And you know what people have been saying too recently is, like, everyone's been saying, man, everything's moving faster and faster and faster and faster. Like, even like today for me, I did this first show with Vera and Augusti, and then I got this like 10 minutes to go in the show. We were talking and everything was so aligned. I just felt it. Like, I felt this thing come into my head and go into my heart, and it just blew up, and then another thing happened. Then another thing happened. And so people have been saying things like that, and they're saying, I don't even know what it is, what the information or the data or the code is. I just know it's there. And And so then you see, like you're saying, and it's coming in all different ways. We lay down every night and we do our hands like this, side by side in the bed, and then we see what happens. And
Okay.
so what one of the things that's been happening, and this has been going back for a while, maybe since before she left this last time. So what would happen is she would have the hand on the heart and the other hand's palm to palm with me. And so all of a sudden her fingers would start doing this, almost like it's like a digital code, right? And then her hand is doing it is mimicking it to my hand, and then my hand starts to mimic to her hand. And
Yep.
it was explained that to her, as this was happening several times, that the nervous system is like the receiver, and that these codes and information was being transmitted, to her directly and then directly to me. Uh, and that was just one method. So, I mean, yeah, I think you're right. I think we're going to be learning
Wow.
how to do all these things. Yeah, we've had some pretty amazing stuff in the last, we've been back 30 days and it's been pretty amazing. Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
But in talking to people, they're going through similar things.
Yeah.
It doesn't always look that way on the surface, but you can feel like this thing with, what do you call it? Forensic, what?
Forensic healing.
Yeah, forensic healing.
Yeah.
That makes total sense to me.
Same.
Yeah, makes total sense to me.
It's like a combination of everything,
Yeah,
you know, everything that we do. Our minds have such an impact on how we how we do things in life and the decisions that we make and how we
yeah,
see things and perceive things. And, it's like the thing for me was to build courage, because that day after I had that interview with you, I made a commitment to myself that I was going to stick to a routine. And I did. And it changed everything in my life. It
wow.
just took me to a different, it's just like I spun around in a 180 and just went, you know?
Yeah,
And it was like 3 weeks of just, I guess, turmoil. And then, it was really hard. And then I had to just like allow whatever was going to come through to come through. But I had to learn. I had to learn strength and courage. And I had to learn how to stick up for myself and speak for myself and ask for help. And that was
yeah,
hard for me. That was
yeah,
really hard for me to ask
yeah.
for help because I'm so used to doing everything on my own.
Yeah, I think
You know,
that's a big deal too. People have been talking about that too, and of course, they've actually been talking about that since the beginning of, well, whatever the recent history we've been privy to. Ask and it will be given. Knock on the door will be open. But yeah,
yeah,
I find that more and more people are talking about that. If I look at my journey and when I ask, but you got to be careful what you ask for,
right.
because if you
You
ask it
got to
in,
be you got
yeah,
to be in the vortex, right?
yeah, yeah,
So the more that not you, but the more that we connect to our inner self,
yeah,
the more strength we build inside of us, so that when we do go through turmoil, we do go through struggling experiences, they don't feel as bad. Like,
yeah,
even though they're bad, they
yeah.
weren't as bad as they were a year ago, or they
No,
weren't as bad. You know what I mean?
no,
So, like,
yeah,
the other day, uh, I was in the car and it was pouring with rain. I didn't want to get out of the car. So I sat there and I let go of everything. And then I just started crying and I had this overwhelming emotions come through me. And, but then was getting really positive messages from people. Like, my friend was just pinging, 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 pinging. Do you want to sing here? Do you want to go to this festival? Here, have some money. I just bought your course. Do that. And I'm crying and I'm
yeah,
sad and I'm releasing,
yeah,
and that's me in the vortex right at that moment in time.
yeah.
Someone from the outside looking in could judge me and say, gosh, look at her. She's just a depressed
It's a
girl sitting
mess.
in a car. Yeah.
No, man, I know. I mean, it's like, I'm telling you, like, what was it, the 21st, 3 days after the full moon? I've talked about this. I don't want to repeat the whole thing, but I find myself, I wake up. We had a huge influx of energy the night before. It was obvious everywhere. It was obvious with Morgan and me, our friends, everyone around
That
here.
full moon was intense.
Yeah, and it was like, and then I I woke up in this daze. I walked barefooted to this ballpark about a quarter mile away, and I sat there and I just like, okay, I'm ready now. Here's how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go down to the beach. I'm gonna get a six pack, and I'm just gonna, check out. I'm done. you know. And then Morgan came and spent the whole day with me and kind of just held space because she went through it really fast, like just boom, about an hour or two. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I'm sitting there going, getting these memories of this 2 year old, like a 2 year old molestation thing happening to me, and
Oh
I like
God.
turned into a little boy. My whole body's shaking. I'm thinking, why is this happening? Why is this coming to this? Why after all the work I've done, not that I've done it all, but why is this happening? I thought I cleared this stuff, and but then once it was all done, this huge expansion,
Yeah,
like
right.
this like
Right.
biblical divine episode. Just it's just like wow,
Yeah.
wow.
And it makes you want to go back into that moment and have it again and again. So all these
Yeah,
amazing
no.
experiences just happen.
I kept saying, can't we do this with more ease and grace, ease and grace?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
But this is the point. That is the ease and grace. You
yeah,
know, the
yeah,
push and pull is the ease and grace.
yeah,
That's the beauty of it.
yeah,
Because what comes afterwards is the ease and grace.
yeah,
And this comes to my next point, which I want to talk about,
yeah,
um, which has just come to me now, is like when we do have that experience of the ease and grace after the storm happens, the calm, and we have all this amazing stuff just come through. There's a big expansion, an awesome opportunity. There's an expectation of the ego that steps in and says, well, I want more. I want more of that. I want more.
like a
Tomorrow I'm going to wake.
fix.
Yeah. And so, what I learned and what I continue to tell myself, because for me it's still a progression, is like just celebrate that moment. And for
Yeah,
the next day, just embody it, embrace it, enjoy that
yeah,
expansion. Because then that expansion will expand in more when you don't even have to do anything. But because we're programmed to do the work, hard work, when we do have the ease and grace and expansion, it kind of feels like it disappears. But it
yeah,
hasn't disappeared.
no,
It's just that we're out of the vortex. We stepped out of it for a second because we're like, well, where did that go? I want more of that,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And that's that micro little thing that can be so vast in a thought that
yeah,
can create such a emptiness.
yeah.
you
Well,
know,
yeah, and you can't do the same thing twice. That's the other thing I got.
no,
We had, yeah,
exactly.
we had about 3 weeks ago. We actually had physical. It was just everything aligned. We had physical perioscamos, physical soul merging in the physical, you know,
Yep.
and it will never happen. I mean, we've had other episodes since then, but that first one was burned into my soul. Like,
Yeah.
and I even 2, 3 years ago, I remember telling her, when this happens, this is what's going to happen. I had no idea what I was saying, but it's exactly what happened. But to your point, so the next night comes, and that
right.
was our thing. We were like, we didn't say it. We're like, hey, let's go try again. And
yeah.
it just went flat. But
yeah.
so we're like, oh, well, we learned a lesson now. And so then the next time you just allow. And it's like
You
just a
allow.
micro of everything. Everything's a
Yeah.
copy, right? So it's like that. And so I agree with you. It is those points. They are the ease and grace. It is our own. What is it? It's our own getting in the way, or that
Yeah. It
thing
is. It is.
that
It's
makes
an
it that makes it the suffering. What we call the suffering or whatever, right?
another analogy quickly is like when I do a gig and I'm on tour and I've got like 8 shows of the same gig. And so I'm singing the same songs with the same band, doing the same thing every
Yeah.
night to
Oh
a
yeah.
different audience in a different space, right?
Yeah.
And then one night you've just got the same thing, like the crowd of, you're engaging, you're right in with it, and you can feel the energy that you're just on this wave. And then the next day and the next night, you think, okay, it's going to be the same again, and then it's not. And it's like, oh, my voice is a bit sore today, or oh, maybe I didn't eat the right food, or maybe I didn't do the right meditation, or you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, it starts chattering. It starts chattering too. Yeah, it's yeah. And
What did
that's
I do
yeah,
today that
yeah,
caused this to happen? How
yeah,
come what I did yesterday was so good and what I did today wasn't? And
yeah.
I honestly do believe that we need to take those breaks
We
so
do.
that we have like a day off. We have a
Yeah,
day where we just enjoy. It's like eating a piece of cake or something. Like we just enjoy it. We don't eat the whole cake. We just have that piece
yeah,
and we're just like, yeah. And this is going to last in my body for 24 hours to 48 hours. And I'm going to enjoy it. And whatever else builds from that is going to be the expansion. It's not going to be going back to that experience to relive it again.
yeah,
And I believe that that's a conditioning that we have.
yeah,
It's a conditioning.
yeah,
We are programmed to do that. And we're also programmed to talk about, past experiences. We're programmed to talk about things that make us feel negative. We're programmed
yeah,
to feed the negative
yeah,
things in life.
yeah.
If we had have been programmed into a life of positivity, where it's the opposite, I promise you the world would be in a different place right now.
I think we're
You
headed that
know,
way.
we
I really
are,
do.
we
Yeah,
are,
like
we are.
like peace in, drama out, and that's my motto.
Yeah,
Peace in, drama out.
absolutely. I
Does
I
not
love
compute.
that.
Yeah, does not
Yeah,
compute. Yeah, I think that. I think so too. And that's another thing I noticed too. And I know I'm not unique to it. Is that even like through these, and I can't really complain. I mean, I'm not complaining at all, even with that weird day, because everybody was going through it. Not that it matters, because it was
yeah.
a huge elevation. But during those times, that little mind would come in, that little voice would come in. And it doesn't come in anywhere like it used to, like you said a year ago.
Oh, this shouldn't happen. I got a new computer. Oh,
How weird is that?
I know. That
What
happened last
the,
time as well.
that happened? That just happened on the previous show too. That's so
Hmm.
weird. That is so weird. My computer, and it's never done this, but it actually went off by itself and came back on
Do
and pulled a
you have do you have like a limit of 1 hour during your interviews?
no,
You don't.
no, no.
Hmm.
It just went, yeah. And actually, we're not even at an hour.
Yeah.
We're like at 55 minutes. But I know you got family to get back with. I really appreciate that you came on today because
Ah, thank you.
I'm
I always
yeah,
appreciate our time, and
yeah,
I always know that our time is aligned.
yeah,
And whenever we plan to do a show, and it feels like something needs to be said, something needs to be done, I always feel that like an
yeah,
energy that just expands.
yeah,
And to me, it's like I feel so good after our interviews. I feel like really happy and just on a high vibration, you know.
yeah.
So for me, it's a blessing, absolutely blessing. And I haven't been watching your shows the past couple of weeks because I've been like in this vortex of healing and,
Yeah,
setting myself up here in Melbourne.
yeah,
But I do really just want to say I've seen this shift that's happened, like, from Facebook and everything that's gone on. And at the same time, I got an email, not an email, a message from them saying that my Facebook was going to be shut down. Yeah. And I'm like, what? I'm thinking that's so strange. And I just wrote to them saying, no, 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 I haven't used Facebook for a while because I'm pregnant and I'm just going through something. Like, give me some time, And they never replied back, but I'm still
that's
on
weird.
there. but yeah,
That's
and I have
weird.
like so many theories about all this stuff, like
That's
that
weird.
I
That's
really want to talk about one day. But yeah, like in my book, I write a bit about it, and my computer died last time we had a chat, and the screen broke and never turned back on.
yeah, man. Yeah, and it's been happening here. It's been happening here. We went like 15 out of 18 shows. We couldn't even get on Facebook. There was one stretch, and just
Yeah.
a lot of stuff said that's weird. They sent you that note. I don't even wonder. That's weird. That's really
Well, my theory is that it's about money, and if you don't spend money,
yeah,
then they're like, okay, let's get rid of them. They're not boosting their posts. They're not
yeah,
giving us
yeah, yeah,
money.
yeah.
So that I believe it's got to do with a lot to do with that, and
I wouldn't doubt
also
that. Yeah,
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 because if
because
we're
yeah, I've noticed that because I used to do these shows on the SoulogyOneStudios Facebook page. And on that page, you can actually see, like you can on YouTube, you can actually see your analytics.
right,
And we were pulling like, and this is going back 2 years ago. We were pulling like 750,000 uh, reach uh, in a month. Like
yeah,
probably close to a million. And but we, and like 20% of them, 25% of them would engage us. So there was and then what would happen is it would be like 150,000, 175,000 a week. And then it would
yeah.
drop down to 18,000. Hey,
Whoa.
we're not getting your notifications. Hey, we're not getting your
Yeah.
notifications.
Hey, you're
And
not paying. Hey, you're
yeah.
not paying.
Mm-hmm.
Give us some money.
And even now, and I've watched it happen so many times, like even now, like this show right now, we should normally have 3 times as many people. But I'm watching
Right.
it. I'm watching each show. It's going like that, going like
Yeah.
that. And people send me
I
messages say I'm not getting notices. So
yeah, I was speaking to somebody last week about it, and what they said was that there's a way to work with Facebook, and you do need to pay, but it's not that much money.
yeah,
But if you're getting 750,000, so like you were getting, there is a way to like get that to 750 million.
yeah,
Like if you work with, and I'm not a marketing person at all.
yeah,
I just know because I had this conversation with somebody that there was a company that they're introducing me to, who have done that,
yeah,
and and so what happens after a while is the Facebook see what's going on, and they start to work with you.
yeah,
But it does cost money, so I'm not sure how much,
yeah.
but they do a deal. They do a deal with you. So
Mm,
I don't know if that's something you're interested in
I don't know.
looking at.
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
At this point, the thing is, I have tried them. I tried them to see how effective they were, and I'm a numbers freak. I'm like a metrics
Right.
freak, and
Yeah.
I did this was probably a couple of years ago, and I tried it 3 or 4 times, and I wasn't impressed at all with the boost or whatever. So
Right.
my direction has been uh, to create an independent site with multiple channels, and we're still working on it. And
Yeah.
so and actually to simulcast at the same time to YouTube and Facebook. But
Yeah.
that's a good idea. Maybe that's something that we need to look into because
Could be. It could
yeah,
be. It's called something. I'll send you the link of what it's called. It's like a
yeah,
little a portal.
yeah. Send
Yeah,
it
I
to me.
can't remember the name, but I'll send it to you,
Do you
and you can
know?
check it
Do
out.
you know what you're going to name your boy now? Yet you don't know yet. Don't tell us. Don't tell us.
No, I don't know. I did get a name. I
Yeah.
did get a name, but then I
Oh.
got another name. And I'm
Oh.
like, okay, so which one's the first name? Which one's the second name? I'm like, I don't know. But they both start with S.
S.
Yeah.
Mm. Well,
S.
could yeah. I'm not gonna try to guess. Well, you
I don't
take
know.
care. I'm really happy. I'm really happy you're with your family and everything's working for you. And I really appreciate you coming on because we always try to capture just the raw and the authentic and the real, and that's the real thing. It's
Yeah.
none of this like the mask you were talking about. That we put on in the Matrix. I mean, it's just this is the way we get out by being you be Natalie, I'll be Todd, and
Exactly.
that's
Exactly.
yeah.
That's
So
exactly right. Yeah.
you, well, you take care. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
you too. You too. I'll
Good luck with
yeah.
everything, and let me know if there's anything we can do to help expand awareness of what you're doing. You know.
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to tell you that I've
Yeah.
just got a new laptop and computer, and I'm setting up my sound so that I can do some sound healing again online.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would love to do that again because I think
Yeah.
that's always a great
Yeah.
thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you do that too for people, right? One on one.
I do. I do
Yeah. Yeah.
gatherings. So it's
Yeah.
about
So
10 to 15 people,
yeah.
and I have people who are interested in being co-hosts. So
Yeah.
they hold the space in their home or in their
Yeah.
yoga studio or
Yeah.
wherever. And then I come in and bring my ceremony, like my crystals, my drum, my singing bowl, and then we do about an hour and a half of singing, music, fun. Like it's just a beautiful couple of
Wow.
hours, and
Wow.
it's yeah, we do a lot of healing in that time.
Yeah. I'd love to get some
So
of that on camera. We've done some stuff like that on camera. People really get off on it. You wouldn't think so.
we could do a gathering, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We want to do. I like to do some of that and with music too. Yeah,
Yeah.
like Sasha Grace over there at
Yeah.
Byron Bay, and there's another lady now, and she's in. Don't ask me where. NSW. What is that? New South Wales somewhere. Her name is Lanier Holbick. She
Okay.
did a she did a song a couple of days ago on the show, and it was a combination. She hadn't. She used to be a performer like you. She
Yeah.
got out of it, had two kids, got married, had two kids, got divorced. She's a single mom, got a 1 year old and a 2 year old. We,
Wow.
we had an open mic because we had a cancellation, so we said whoever wants to come in, come in. She came on and she did some light language, and so then the next thing I know, I see a video, and she goes, "I haven't touched my guitar in 3 years." She's got a really nice Gibson, and she says, "I haven't written a song in 4 years." She sat down and wrote this song called "I Am," and it's light language and melody, light language.
Wow.
Yeah. So like
That's awesome.
pulling stuff like this together and having it all brought into one place. So because I mean it's full of code. All of that stuff
It
that people
is.
are doing artistically are full of code. So yeah, just reach out to me. If we don't reach out to you first, and we'll put something together specifically like a sound healing deal.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
That would be so cool.
yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
All
I'm
right.
up for that for sure.
Okay. Best to you and yours. You take
You
care.
too. You too. You take care. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.